Hello, young Padawans. Today we will be discussing classical theory in the realm of Star Wars. There are advantages and disadvantages to classical theory. We will first discuss the advantages and then the disadvantages. The advantages are specialization, uniformity, endurance, and efficiency. The disadvantages are limited innovation, low morale, high absenteeism, high turnover rates, and the inability to adapt to change. First of all, an organization is a group of people working towards a common goal. It requires discipline, leadership. The classical theory of organization compares an organization to a machine. Within a machine, there are many parts, each part designed to do its job perfectly. For example, when Chewbacca was trying to fix the Millennium Falcon, he needed a hyperdrive motivator. No other part would have done the job. He needed that hyperdrive motivator to help the Millennium Falcon blast into hyperdrive to evade the patrol ships of the Death Star. For an organization, this means that every person has one job that they are very, very good at. This is called specialization. One stormtrooper could be really good at blasting, but not so good at driving. Another stormtrooper might be really good at defending the base, but really bad at hand-to-hand combat. Another similarity between organizations that use classical theory is that machines are uniform. They are reliable and they perform the same way every time without fail. Therefore, they are predictable. In the same way, people who are part of a classical organization are uniform. They receive the same training, the same gear, and in Star Wars, they went as far as to make copies of the same person, Jango Fett. The army of Jango Fett's clones all had the same tastes, the same physique, and the same potential as Jango. This uniformity was good for battles as long as there were enough troops. As we've discussed, machines have parts, and those parts, when they break, can be replaced. The same applies for the Galactic Empire. Throughout the films, there was no remorse, there was no emotion when a soldier fell dead, at least until the third trilogy. Soldiers were like parts, easily available and readily replaceable. The endurance level of any army becomes exponentially raised when soldiers become expendable. The biggest takeaway from classical theory is that it is efficient. Machines are efficient. Efficiency was a big concern for the Galactic Empire. I would like to take this opportunity to point out that the Republic / the Empire / the Order didn't start out as an evil thing. Essentially, they wanted safety and security for everyone. The problem was they wanted to force this on people, limiting creativity, innovation, and freedom. We've looked at the advantages of a classical approach to organization. Now let's look at some of the disadvantages. In an organization whose top priority is safety and security, innovation is often frowned upon. Experimentation and creativity are threats to the way that things ideally always will be and always have been, and people are always afraid of something they're not familiar with. However, innovation can have its place. For example, to take down the giant walking robots and the Death Star, the rebels needed to use innovation to figure out how to beat them. Mind you, this is the exception to the rule. People are not machines. However unfortunate this fact may be, we can't all be C-3PO. People have feelings, and because of this, treating them like parts of a machine may not make them feel very good. In the first two trilogies, we don't really see the human side of the stormtroopers. However, in the third trilogy, one of the stormtroopers is heartbroken over the death of his comrade. His organization was unfeeling towards his grief, which eventually drove him to secede from the organization and help the rebels. Another problem for machine-like organizations is high turnover rate, or high absenteeism. High turnover rate means people are hired on and they quit right away. And high absenteeism is people just not showing up for work. Obviously, this was not an option for stormtroopers. Fear was a ruling factor, and discipline and obedience were valued above doing the right thing. I would venture to say most stormtroopers feared for their life if they disobeyed. The final disadvantage to the classical approach to organization is the inability to adapt to change. Sure, there are protocols to deal with situations, but on a larger scale, they are not creative when it comes to adapting. When their first Death Star was destroyed, they built a bigger Death Star instead of building something more defensible and less obvious. Talk about a lack of innovation. Remember, my young Padawans, as in all things in the universe, there must be balance. A completely classical approach will not do well for all companies, but a complete lack of structure is also destructive. You must be wise. You must use your training to decide when it is appropriate to use classical theory. And may the Force be with you, always.